It seems to me, Chris and Denise, that you've come quite further than we, I mean, in this, and you're quite ahead of us. And I wonder if this asknature.org thing, is that sufficient to sort of bridge all the language problems, finding common grounds that Antonia told us about? How do we sort of bridge those very different areas? What advice would you like to give us? Is it the web that is the solution for this?
I think the idea is that there's many solutions. Just like nature doesn't come up with one solution, there's many, many different solutions that are appropriate. And I was very glad, Antonia, to hear you say that, that your biggest challenge is language. That's what we find. So, for example, when we conduct workshops, we'll have biologists, bankers, architects, psychologists, young people, older people sitting at the same table. At the beginning of the workshop, they kind of look at each other, oh, you know, I don't know how to talk to you. So while we're teaching the concepts and tools of biomimicry, we, unbeknownst to them, bring in tools of communication. So we have methods and tricks and processes to help people forget who they are and what they know and what they don't know, and who they are and where they come from, and work together as people. Curiosity is a great driver. Biophilia is a great driver, touching people's innate love for nature. And then, as Chris pointed out, just keep trying different methods and seeing which one takes off. We really believe in, instead of putting a big project out there, try things and see what emerges, see where the energy really lies, and then throw more resources in that direction.
Thank you. Chris, what has been most difficult?
Yeah, in the Ask Nature project? Yeah. I think the language barrier has been it. What we found is we started with a lot of biological information and we were pushing that towards the design world. And what we're finding is we need designers to pull biology from the other direction as well. So finding that middle ground somewhere is very important.
Do you get demand from both worlds?
Yes, we get demand from both worlds. And what we're finding is the more we work with biologists and we teach them why the functions are so important to designers, it's a really interesting conversation that begins to happen. And then once designers understand how to ask the questions that they can pose to biologists, it's a pretty magical conversation that starts to happen.
Can you give us an example? What's the most common question from a scientist or a designer? Or what? Can you just give us a...
I don't know if I would say there's a most common question, but it is really interesting when you put these people together. At the beginning, if I said, okay, designer, here's a botanist, ask away. And I don't know anything about botany, and they're kind of intimidated. And if I said, okay, botanist, tell them about, you know, I don't know anything about engineering, so they're kind of embarrassed to go into each other's fields. And so you find a field, some of us talked about this yesterday, you take them both out of the field that they know about and put them someplace else. And sometimes we actually put them in a field to share this sort of information. So you find...
so they are all new in this?
Yeah, exactly. So you find either overlapping comfort zones or you find an entirely new comfort zone. And we find nature itself to be a fantastic place to do that.
Why haven't we done this before then? Why do I get the feeling that this is sort of new now?
It is actually, as you pointed out earlier, a very old method. But with the Industrial Revolution, as Chris has mentioned before, we've sort of scaffolded our way away from the earth. And we're up here going, uh-oh, you know, we're in a pinch.
So it's all the climate change debate and the same sustainable development?
Yeah, and what we found is that so many people have spent time looking at what's so wrong, and biomimicry helps you find out what I can do to make things work. So it's hopeful, it provides a better understanding of what does sustainability really mean. So it's hopeful, it's positive, it addresses a lot of the other challenges that we have.
It's clever. Thank you, and I know that many of the questions that you have addressed will come back later during the conference. So thank you so very much, both of you. Thank you. We will.